Right now
Yeah,
I'm playing 800 DPI on like 4.7
that
sensitivity.
sounds pretty perfect. Do you have a like a larger mouse
Oh,
pad? Okay.
oh wow.
Probably don't repeak it. Make sure you're
Oh, we're
paying
picking.
attention. Yeah, make sure you're paying attention to your health bar. There, you're like 9 HP, right? So we want to make sure we're paying attention to that. And then when we're low, we can just go and hop back into spawn to get healing. Um, and then
Do I go
just
back up there?
yeah, you can go back up top or just out main, either or. Just to get the thing we are talking about out of the way. Do you have a larger sized mouse pad or a small mouse pad?
Oh, I have a larger size
All
mouse
right.
pad.
Well, then your sensitivity seems pretty perfect. Then no problems there. That's you're like one tiny little bit off of like what I have. I'm like 800 by 4.5 deep sensitivity.
Eh, uh, oh, I wanted to like get vision on. Oh wow.
All right. Just try not to get in his face. Right. He as Junkrat, he benefits a lot when you're right up next to him. Preferably as Hanzo, we prefer a mid range. Right. We try to stay a
Mhm.
little bit away from people, but not too far. So try not to get up into his face like that. And we're gonna after this game's done, we'll go into the training range and talk about some stuff.
Alrighty. Is it that bad?
Oh no, I do that with everyone. It's
I'm
just
joking. I'm
some
joking.
specific stuff.
Oh man. Oh, I'm really out of position here.
Good place for you to be would probably be the high ground. They'll go more into
Hi.
depth about that on that after this game's done. But typically, high ground's a really good place to be, and it sounds like you can just climb right up there.
Alrighty.
Nano boost almost ready.
I was like I'm not really used to the.
The arc on it yet.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, we're supposed to go high ground. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yep.
I
All
just.
right. Yeah, we'll talk. So far, so we're getting into some positioning stuff, which is getting a
Mhm.
skill being like kind of where we're standing. And
Mhm.
we'll talk about all that stuff after we're done this game. Um,
Alrighty.
Also, it seems like sometimes we're a little bit hesitant to be shooting some shots.
Mhm.
Look to just shoot them a little bit faster, right? Basically, every time you're recharging it, you should just be constantly shooting, so you're getting damage output out there. You know. Yeah, there we go. A little too close to them, right? We
Yeah.
duck around the corner and then just immediately come back. Kind of went out in the open again. We'll talk more about positioning though after we're done here, so I can demonstrate it. Very, very nice shot. Be careful about standing still. Very rarely you can want to stand still because that's gonna end up getting you shot at and killed by the baby diva there very easily, right? And potentially gets you sniped super easily by the enemy widow. There's only certain scenarios where standing still is gonna be okay. And it's usually when absolutely nobody knows where you're at.
Oh. So do I try to get high ground from here?
Yep, you could go take high ground. There's
Is
no.
it this side?
Are you're aware how to use your wall climb?
Oh, this. We gotta hold space, right?
You just walk into the wall and, yeah, and hold space. Yep, like
Oh,
that.
I can't go over here. Yeah. Like so many times, like for me to like find a place to go high, it's just like I take so long of a time
Yep,
that I
you
just
just gotta look up when you're going for it. It seems like when we're looking for to go high, we're not like looking up in the air. We're just kind of staring straight forward. So
Mhm.
look, is there a ledge there? If there's a ledge there, we can't go up, right? Kind of look for the doorways you're trying to get to, and see is it there kind of a straight path there? Right. I think positioning is definitely looking like the big one here, and kind of where we're trying to stand. And then there's definitely, of course, other things that come in with that, like awareness. But that's one of the slower ones to kind of find and develop. So
So right now that what's her name? Uh,
Widowmaker use your
yeah,
sights.
yeah. So should I like? Wow.
Juju.
I try to. Yeah, Vito killed me. I think.
Yeah. So what was your question?
Oh, I was like, when she uses that, like, do I have to just generally like try to like stay away from like open paths?
Yep, and in general, you're trying to stay away from open paths,
Oh,
and that's what we'll talk about afterwards when it comes to positioning. But you don't want to generally be out in the open. But yes, definitely when Widowmaker knows where you are, you just have to be like, extra careful because you might end up getting just sniped there.
so oh, oh, I thought I had her. Oh man, I'm not doing any. Definitely like. Oh, I tried to get the.
Okay. Storm arrows. It seems like we're using them like just abilities in general.
Mm,
Like when it comes to our Sonic, we should be using that one like off a cooldown. So just every time we get it, we're just using that. And then storm arrows. It seems like we're using them a little bit infrequently. So
mm-hmm.
that one you're not going to be using off a cooldown like Sonic, but you do still want to use it pretty frequently. So that you actually get the most value out of it, right? You're not just holding on to it, never using it. Take your time and line up the shots when she's still standing still like that, right? Characters that just, for example, like Widowmaker, when she stands still, she has very, very low mobility and she has a very big head hitbox. So just
Mm-hmm.
take your time, make sure you're lining up the headshot and don't rush it. Try to make your way outside of the bubble so you can get healed by your supports instead of sitting in there with him.
Okay.
Unless you're just confident that you can get the kill on him if he's low.
I definitely like needed to get out.
Yep.
I just panic sometimes. Oh, this one we should be
Yep.
probably taking the high ground here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I use my ult here?
Yep, you basically want to be using your ult in like as soon as possible. You don't want to hold on to it usually. You only wouldn't use it if you've won or lost a fight. Really, really great ult. It seems like we have good ult usage. We just need to maybe work on the timing a bit. Very nice. All right, so we're gonna go over some stuff real quick. What is your how many deaths do you have here in this game?
I have 7.
7. All right. So, survivability is going to be one as well to look at. We'll talk a bit about that. I'm streaming if you want to take a look on Discord. So first off, let's go over survivability. That's just a really important thing. 7 deaths
Yeah.
is a lot for a quick play match. Competitive games usually are twice as long because you have multiple rounds. So that means that in a competitive game, that would have been, maybe like 14 deaths, right? Which is a lot of deaths to have. And that's not really going to be very good for you. So deaths are very important to cut out, right? It's very obviously big mistakes. When you die, you get 0 value, and on top of that, it's actually negative value because you are now putting your team at a disadvantage, right? And they're more likely to lose that fight without you.
True.
So deaths, we're gonna want to cut them out. Like a good example of this is, let's say like we average like 10 deaths in a game, and let's like in comp or something like that, right? Average 10 deaths. If we can cut out a 3 deaths, right? One single death is 10 seconds of respawn time, 10 seconds of walk back time. So for 3 deaths, that's roughly an entire minute of gameplay that you're not just being alive. You're being alive in the middle of fights, participating, putting your team at an advantage, not a disadvantage, right? So we just want to make sure that we're staying alive, because that really, really does help us out a lot and allows us to do more. So like, you know, even if let's take that to a double that, and let's say we go from 10 to 4, so we take out 6 whole deaths. Now that's an entire 2 minutes of gameplay that we are now getting. That's an entire ult and a half. That's an entire, you know, that's many, many kills and a ton of damage that we are now adding in just because we're alive and existing more often. So survivability is really important. Just want to make sure that we're staying alive, but we also want to make sure that we're not, you know, never doing anything, because you can sit and spawn and do nothing and be alive the entire game, right? Now moving on to some other things here. So far, I think ability usage is a little bit inconsistent. Ultimate usage, I think we're actually doing pretty decent in. I think we just need to get the timing down. So when it comes to ultimate usage, I think when it comes to timing, right, you're, like I said before, you're using it in any fight that you do not have, that you have not won or lost yet, right? So unless you've won it or unless you've lost it, you're using your ult, and you don't want to hold on to it, because the longer we hold on to it, the, you know, less ultimates we can get, and ults that aren't used don't get any value, right? So we use it. We want to use it pretty fast, and we don't want to hold on to it at all. You should also look to use your ultimate at the very beginning of fights. The reason why is because you can do an easy comparison and say, let's say the enemy team also has a dragon, right? If that Hanzo dragon's before you do, he gets kills with it. He gets a extra damage, and, you know, with it, and therefore his team's at an advantage. And even if we dragon second, it's just going to get less value because they already got the kills first, right? That means you have less follow-up, and it's not going to get as much value as the first one. On top of that, holding on, or ulting second or late in a fight or whatever, whenever, could result in us just losing the fight before we get a chance to use it, and then now we're just forced to hold on to it, right? So now moving on, I think we're going to go over like 2 more things. Let's go over positioning first. So this is a pretty big one, I believe, and like of what we were working on. So basically, if we are standing right here, right, this applies to every character in the game, or at least like 90% of them, right, and most FPS games out there. If we're standing here, and there's a bunch of enemies standing over there, right, it takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind cover. It's like 2 seconds even if we use sleep, right? Now from here we're safe, right? You can't get shot at through wall, you can't shoot through walls, right? So we're good. But in that time it took us to get here, we died, right? Because we were out in the open. If we're standing here, right, in half of a second we can duck behind cover. So this is much better positioning. Therefore, good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. So we really want to make sure we're sticking next to things that can stop damage, which a lot of the time, and a lot of our deaths, in fact, came from the fact that we were standing kind of up here out in the open, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Now, there's a ton of different types of cover, right? We can use slopes like so. We can use pillars, right? We can do this in between shots since you have a charge up time, right? You can do this when you're reloading on characters that reload. You can do this when you are low health or about to take a ton of damage, right? You have corners that do the exact same thing, walls, right? You can use text that you find rounds, right? You use a payload like that, right? You have pillar, corner, doorway, corner, right? And then high grounds are all act as really nice, all natural cover, right? All the high grounds is natural cover. If they can see us, they can't see us. He can see us, now he can't see us. We got in, out, right? So all of high ground acts as natural cover, and high ground is also fantastic because of the another thing where if we're on high ground, most characters in the game can't get to you, right? Reinhardt can't get to you. Half the characters can unless they use abilities, and then even then when they have to use abilities, right? And then now they're out of abilities. So again, more survivability. And then thirdly, it gives us a ton of visibility, right? When we're on high ground, we can see over here, right? Over here, over on this side, all within seconds. But if we're on a low ground, right? Let's say we're standing here, we can't see over there, we can't see any of high ground, we can't see over there, right? So it limits our visibility. So that means that just whenever it's an option, we want to look to take high ground, right? Now, thirdly, when it comes to our positioning, is the range that we want to look to play at, right? Hanzo
Yeah.
is capable of playing at a far distance, and he is capable of playing at a close distance, because no matter what distance he's at, he can one-shot. But he prefers a mid-range, which is like around like here to there, right?
Yeah.
Be- because of the fact that at a close range, there's just other
This is.
characters. Good.
Can you show me the mid range again? Sorry.
Yep, it's
So,
pretty much anywhere from like here to there, right? We just don't want to get too close, don't want to get too far. It's a pretty wide range. We just don't want to be too far or too close,
yeah.
whenever possible,
Yeah.
right? Um, if we're too close, there's just a lot of characters that have better close range than we do. Like, we don't
Yeah.
suck there. It's just that other characters are better, right?
Yeah.
And same at long range, right? We can still one shot from here, but it's also a lot harder to hit shots because from
Yeah.
here, first off, you have to arc it a little bit because you have a little bit. It goes down a tiny little bit. So if we're aiming at his head here, it's
Yeah.
going to hit his body, so we actually have to aim up a little bit above their head. It's also going to be harder because we don't have a scope, we don't have lowered sensitivity, and they're also really, really tiny, so that's going to make it just harder to hit shots from back here. So even though we prefer to be within the mid-range where we kind of do the most damage and the easiest damage from.
Yeah.
Right. Now, moving on to just the mechanics and the thing, and then we can probably look to hop into another game.
Alrighty.
So you said you played a lot of CS:GO, and so
I've played them like I played like CS:GO, like throughout my life I played like a lot of like Counter Strike back in the days, and I played I never really played competitive, but like I was always familiar with them, and in Call of Duty, basically like I only played like um I did play like a lot of Call of Duty, like especially Modern Warfare 2, but I was like into like quick scoping. I was just only sniping.
yeah.
So like, it's just I like sniping characters that
All right.
like nothing like crazy though.
All right. Are you familiar with? I would maybe assume that you're familiar with the term crosshair placement. Then.
Yeah, just to
Yep.
like make sure that you get a headshot like when they come. That's one of my problems too. I think like I don't know like I think I always like I'm either like too high or too low
Yep.
on like crosshair placement.
All right.
And
Yeah. So
yeah,
then that's what we'll just give you a quick reminder on that end then, because that's basically what it is, right? The big first major step to good crosshair placement is just keeping it head level. As a lot of the times so far, we're not necessarily at head level. It just means that to get to head level, right, which obviously does a lot more damage, right? One shot
yeah,
versus that much. We want to be hitting headshots. And if we have to adjust further, that's a harder shot to hit, right? This is a lot harder to hit than this, right? We're just adjusting a tiny little bit. So the further
yeah,
across there is to go, the harder of a shot that is to hit. So we want to make sure we're aiming head level so it's an easy headshot. On top of that, Hanzo's a pretty spammy character. You're just going to be shooting down corridors and into places a lot. And if this just makes our natural body, our natural shooting level at bodies, or it's kind of our default shots hit bodies, right? But we want to make it so when we're aiming head level, our default shots are now at head level, right? We're defaulting to head level. Now, second major thing is just aiming where we know people are going to be, right? Whether or not we see them go right side or we can Sonic it too, right? We know we pre-aim a little at head level, a little away from the wall, right? So that when he turns the corner, he just walks into our shot, or it's very little adjustment till we get the shot, right?
true.
Top left here, we know he's left side, we're pre-aiming head level, so when we turn the corner here, we're just pretty much aiming already at his head. Here,
Wow, yeah,
these guys are on a little bit of a slope, right? So the same way like on a Torbjorn, the tiny dude, we're going to be aiming a little bit lower, and on a tank, we're going to aim a little bit higher, right? Because they're taller. We're going to aim a little bit lower here, so that when we come out here, we're pretty much already aiming at his head, right?
true. Yeah,
So that's how we just keep good crosshair placement. Like two other things, just in terms of like hitting longer range shots, which that was a pretty long range map. You're going to be when it comes to kind of the physical movement of how your arm is working. Make sure that when you're shooting at a super far range, that you're putting your wrist down on your desk, right, on your table or whatever you have. That will allow you to have a little bit more precise aim with your movements. Like if I place my wrist down, I can only do this, right? I lift my wrist up, I can do a full, this, right, and move however much I want. And because I'm using my arm. So whenever I'm just walking around normally, I'm using my entire arm. Whenever I'm close to somebody, I'm using my whole arm. But then if I'm trying to hit somebody from super far away, then I'm going with my wrist, so that I have a little bit more precision with my movements, and it's very small and subtle with the differences. Right.
Okay, true.
Right. Final thing to go over before you just hop into the game. Actually, you can just queue up right now.
Alrighty.
Is just make sure you're fully charging your shots. Sometimes we just end up half charging them, and that just means that we're not really going to be doing full damage. It's also going to be harder to hit those at a distance as it becomes like a little bit more. Becomes a lot more slower and a little bit more arced. So we want to fully charge our shots. That way we're doing our one shot potential and doing a max damage. And it's also going to be easiest to hit and most consistent to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I was talking about in game was sometimes it kind of seems like we will charge up a shot and we'll kind of take a little too long aiming, and we'll spend a long time just kind of like sitting around, not really shooting, and that's called actions per minute. Per minute is basically just like how much doing. Like if you compare a bronze player to a grandmaster player, a grandmaster player is going to be efficient with every single second that they have, and they're going to be basically doing something always, right? But a bronze player is going to be walking around a whole lot, and they're not going to be doing. They're going to kind of walk around, pause, shoot, right? Walk around, pause, right? They're going to be doing a lot less with their time. So basically, you just more, which comes down to shooting more and more. So don't try not to take pauses. Keep shooting. Keep doing spam shots. As Hanzo, like I said, is pretty spammy. You have unlimited ammo, so just look to like basically every second you're just firing a shot. But it's make sure they're full charge shots, right?
The instant arrow? What's the name of this ability that you just used? I forgot the name.
The storm arrow.
Yeah, storm arrow. Yeah.
Oh.
So like, is the speed the same as the max charged normal shot?
Yes, but you don't have to like charge them up.
Okay,
so you're talking about the projectile speed of like how fast is it moving?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Sounds good.
And then that is pretty much it for now. So we can just go ahead and look at your game. Maybe get in one.
All right. Let's. I'm still waiting for the queue. I want to go implement it. See.
Yeah, I always forget. Yeah, maybe next time we go into the training range here, I'll have you queue up a little bit earlier. I always forget that the matches are so long.
It's okay. I was gonna like ask like, is there like any? So like I usually play when I want to just like play like at like easier level, I pick soldier for example because it's just I feel like it's easier to use. Although I'm like not as efficient, but I always like do better with it because of like how the aiming is like easier and everything. But I just want to know like, is there any time that like enemy team has certain comp that you don't want to pick Hanzo?
I'd probably say Hanzo's pretty versatile, though he doesn't like it when the enemy team is on a dive composition. Are you familiar with the dive comp?
No, but no.
Alright, yeah, so a dive comp is the term for if the enemy team has a lot of very mobile characters. So you see it as Winston, D.Va, Wrecking Ball. Those are the dive tanks. You dive DPS. You have Genji, Echo, Doomfist, Sombra, Tracer. Right, all very fast characters. And then on support, support's a little bit like weird with it. Sometimes like Mercy fits okay with a dive. Zen fits okay with a dive. Ana's good with a dive. I don't think that Lucio sometimes can be okay with a dive. I don't know if there's actually any like very good dive supports out there, but
I hate Lucio.
Yeah, he is pretty bad at the moment.
Yeah, I hate Lucio. So like, would you suggest like there I should probably pick someone like McCree?
Yep, McCree would be a lot better against that because he has a little bit more health. He has his flashbang, which can help you to stun those people who are moving very fast and kill them. And then I'm spectating you, by the way.
Already.
And then yeah, on top of that, he has a little bit more, I guess not more than Hanzo, but he has some burst damage, which will be a little bit more than like a character like Soldier, right? To just burst down some of the faster targets.
I was also thinking like, it does like my skin matter too in terms of visibility?
Matter to invisibility?
Yeah, so like, who's like that, if they like if I'm like easier to see or not?
No, not usually. Skins aren't really in Overwatch. They're not really too much of a advantage or disadvantage usually. Sometimes like there's been things in the past where like I think there's like been like some Reinhardt ones where like he has like a when every character ultimates they have a voice line, and there's been some where like the voice line is like super quiet or something like that, so you like couldn't hear him. But that's Usually they try not to make skins give an advantage or a disadvantage. Usually instead of doing that, you can just like shoot it into spawn as it's about to open, because you can shoot those trees right there. So you can pretty much see straight into spawn anyways if you just shoot it there. Alright, keep in mind you have another one, right? So you can just keep firing those out off a cooldown.
I felt like they were like coming at me, so I have to like.
Yep. Watch your health bar, right? Request healing when you're low. That's a really good habit to get into so that your supports know where you are in game. Right, Samba was just behind you there shooting at you and we didn't pay attention, right? So make sure you're
Oh
keeping
wow.
your audio awareness up, right? You're listening and you're paying attention. That's just stuff that comes in on awareness, and there's a lot of different categories of awareness, but we just want to make sure we're paying attention to our environment. Okay, very nice. Keep sonicking, right? Yeah, you want to sonic where you can't, exactly, right? Places where you can't really see people, and you want to know where they're at. Okay. Honestly, because when high grounds are out really far away from places, they might not even be where you want to go. So like here, for example, when they're super far away from you, you might even want to go bottom right. But right now they're a lot closer. Oh. Try to go for the people who are closer to you, right? Don't try to like snipe the Ana if like Reinhardt's right underneath you, right? There's just some easier people to go for when they're a lot closer, so keep in mind the ranges. Try to keep your crosshair head level. They were kind of like aiming a little bit too low.
Oh,
All right,
hold on.
I think it'd be a good idea to go over like when is a good time to use Storm Arrow. So you use Storm Arrow anytime you're trying to burst something down that has a lot of health. So anytime you're shooting at a shield, anytime you're shooting at a tank, anytime you're shooting at a Bob, right? That's where you can use Storm Arrow to do a whole lot of damage very fast. Another time you can use Storm Arrow is like, for example, if you hit a body shot on somebody, you don't want to fully charge an entire other shot. So if you Storm Arrow, that can help you finish off the kill without having to charge up another shot. So like that on the Ashe right there. If you hit the first one, oh, we'll talk about that in a second. But if you hit the first shot on her, you can look to Storm Arrow immediately, so you can just follow up and kill her. Right, you can also look to just Storm Arrow to kill somebody normally. Like if you just see somebody who's like standing still and you want to kill them really fast. Okay, that was a poor dragon because at that point you'd already lost the fight. We'll talk about, it's a little too long to talk about now, but at the end of the game we'll talk about how to know when you've won or lost a fight. Right. So especially there when you can see her running around that corner, it becomes a super easy shot to hit, right? As long as we're making sure we're aiming at head level, right? So that she basically just walks into our shot, right? But because we weren't aiming head level, she got away with it. Just hitting a lot of body shots that potentially could be headshots if you're just aiming at that spot.
Oh, this is so like here is good if I wanted to like.
Yeah, you can Sonic and you can kind of line it up with people, right? So you can kind of see where people are at and then adjust accordingly, right? So like there you can look to Storm Arrow his shield, right? If you're trying to burn down his shield.
See through the dragon's eyes.
Well, that was a good decision to use your Storm Arrow there. All right, getting better with
Oh.
that. We'll talk about some. Basically, this exact same concept applies to high ground with making sure you're sticking next to cover. But we'll talk about how you can better do that after this game is done as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I noticed that like I like die a lot.
Yep.
I feel like I play too aggressive. So should I just?
Right there, make sure you weren't walking in when you didn't have any teammates alive, right? Make sure you're walking in with your team, not ahead of them. Okay, line it up with their head and then turn the corner, right? Don't rush it. Just make sure you're keeping it at the right level.
Uh-oh. Oh, I tried to like I
Yeah.
tried to like climb the wall, but didn't let me. To like.
And that we kind of overstayed our welcome there. So we had lost the fight and we stayed there too long. So you just when you lose a fight, we'll talk about this in a minute and like how to identify when you're losing a fight. But when
Yeah.
you lose a fight, look to just get out. Right? Don't stay in there too long.
Mocked.
Uh-oh.
Right? So you
I
know where
need.
she's at. You line it up. Right? You turn the corner. The other good thing about like having projectiles is you can see where that projectile goes. If you see that it's too high, you adjust a little bit. You adjust a little bit lower. If you see it's too low, you adjust a bit higher. Right? That's a good benefit of using projectiles is you get to adjust based off of where your projectile went. Right? Right. So that one went
Oh
too
my god,
low.
that
So
was.
we
I thought he was like going lower ground for some reason. Okay, can I ult? I've been thinking about like using my ult here to like create some space because they're gonna pass.
Yep. So they're maybe sitting a little bit closer. So the further away you are from the people you're trying to drag in, it means that there's more of a delay before the dragon gets there, which means they have a lot of time to react, right? Well, this is getting a little close. We might want to be like further back at where our team is, right? That just got a little bit close, and if they push us, there's nowhere for us to run.
That's true.
Mocked by the dragon.
Right, so yeah, like I was saying, oh, nice storm arrows there. You see how fast you melted them there?
Yeah, that's like.
Power grows stronger.
How much health does Bob have?
Oh, like 1,200.
See that which is
Right.
unseen.
I think just getting down and mastering crosshair placement is gonna be a very, very massive thing, but I'm not gonna spend too much time harping on it so that I'm not wasting the entire session, right? Well, make sure we're keeping up our RD awareness, right, so we can look at that a little bit faster. Had he detonated that a little bit earlier, we probably would have died.
Uh,
Very good. Still probably don't try, even if you have a nano, try not to like leap into them, right? Because like a hog and a Reinhardt benefit more from being right next to you than you do,
I must
right?
reclaim my honor.
so
So
what should I do when I should also be on the point like like is there any time that like I should just like risk it and like risk it all and like
on,
go to the point?
basically only if they're about to cap and you need to touch, right? That's the only time you'd ever do it. Is if nobody else on your team is able to do it. Right? Otherwise, you would leave it up to your team to do it because that's kind of your tank's job a lot of the time.
Oh, oh. Oh.
A really good placement. It seems like we have the placement really down.
Oh.
But the problem there was we kind of left down to like so deaths are a really really good thing that we can look to improve off of, right? We can look at deaths and go, this is what I did wrong. What could I have? And then the next thing is you have to think, what could I have done better? So there we kind of leapt like from left side to the middle, and then we walked right side, which just put us out in the open a lot. And then we also left back on the point, right? So which put us out in the open a lot, right? So just a lot of things that put us really nice shot. Right, so a lot of things that just put us out in the open and that killed us. So in the future, we just want to make sure we're, paying attention to what kills us and trying to fix it. Probably go like top right there, which just gives you a really good, there's like a little window there.
Oh.
Well,
I don't know. One
make sure,
second. Oh,
yeah,
alright.
make sure you're looking parallel to the wall, otherwise it cancels.
See that which is unseen.
Yeah, once you get pressure, then you can back up. That's fine.
See through the dragon's eyes.
Oh, I thought I had.
Marked by the dragon.
Okay, nice timing. All right, good game. All right, so you can look to just go ahead and stay in queue, but I'm gonna stream. That way, you know, if it's a long one, we can just get into the next one immediately.
Should I use the priority pass or?
How long does it say it's gonna take if you use that?
It says like 1 minute.
Oh, no, maybe not then.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
I mean, actually, if you want it, if it says it's gonna take 1 minute, then what we can do is just don't queue for a game, and then queue after I'm done talking, or at least when I'm
Sure.
about to be done, and then that way you just get it a little bit faster.
All right. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So basically here we're gonna go over two different things. First off, how to tell whether or not you're winning or losing a fight, right?
Mhm.
So that comes down to making sure you're paying attention to the top right corner of your screen, which is the kill feed. The kill feed tells you when you're up kills or down kills, and
Mhm.
basically how you read whether or not you're winning or losing is based on how many people you have alive. When
Yeah.
you are up 1 to 2 people, that is pretty much that means that you have an advantage, right? At that point, you can play more aggressively because you have less people to punish you. That doesn't mean run into them and die, but it means that you can get away with a tiny bit more, right? When you are up 2 to 3 people, that is where you've pretty much won the fight, right? When we've won fights, ulting is overkill, and you probably don't want to ult right when you can just save it for the next one. And
Yeah.
on top of that, you want to look to go push an extra hard because again, they have less people to punish you, and you also want to look to stagger them, which I'll explain in a second if you're not familiar with the term. Then this also goes the exact opposite way, right? When you're down 1 to 2 people, that is a disadvantage, right? You don't lose the fight yet, but you might want to play more passive because you are losing the fight, right? And then when you're down 2 to 3 people, that is where you've pretty much lost the fight. At that point,
Yeah.
you don't want to use ults because your ult isn't going to change the fact that you've lost.
Mhm.
Most of the time, not all of the time, right? There are sometimes like you might have a 10% chance of winning, but that's not going to be worth it if you can just come to the next fight and have a 50 or 60% chance of winning, right? With your ultimate. And then also when you've lost the fight, you want to look to get out if possible. And if you don't think you can get out because you don't think you think that they're going to be able to kill you, just let them kill you so that you don't end up staggering yourself.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the term staggering?
Staggering. No.
No? Okay, so staggering is basically any time that you die late.
Mhm.
When you die after your team dies, that
Mhm.
means that your team basically has to wait for you to come back, right? If they're going to go in with 6 people, they have to wait for you, and then that wastes time. And
Mhm.
if they don't wait for you, which also probably is, that's going to happen more often in silver where they're not paying attention
Yeah.
and they don't wait for you, then they're going to go in without you, and then now they're at like a 5v6, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe if you staggered with somebody else, it's a 4v6.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll end up dying super early, and then they'll walk back when they don't have their team at all, right? And then now they're going in 1v6, and then they stagger, and then the next person goes in, and it just keeps going and going and going. And that's what you call a stagger train, is where like everyone
Mhm.
keeps trickling in one by one, right? Which isn't going to
Yeah.
be very good for you, so you never want to start that staggering yourself. All right, so that was the big one, and then next thing, you can look to get in a queue now.
Yeah.
Right, next thing is how to use high ground properly. When we are on a high ground, right, the exact same thing applies on low ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people can see us. Can we 5 people at once?
No.
No. Can 5 people at once shoot at us?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we probably don't want to let 5 people see us all the time. So instead we can move back. We can this guy real quick, right? Now we can kill this guy, right? And then we can move on. If we want to just like check out where everyone's at, we can use Sonic, or we can peek for a second, but we don't want to stay here too long.
Yeah.
Okay? We can also do the same thing here, right? 4 people can see us. We move left, 1 person can see us, right? We move back a little bit, they can only see our like the tip of our head, which makes us a lot harder of a target to hit, right?
Yeah.
So that's just using high ground cover properly, and a lot of times you're just kind of dancing out in the open here, which just got us killed at least one time, I think. But it also might have gotten we got a bunch of damage from it another time too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think you're not in a game yet, are you?
Oh, it just queued up. It just got it
Just
right
you?
now.
Oh, you just got in.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Do you want me to like keep picking Hanzo, or you
Oh,
want me to like
any
yeah.
any characters you want to go over?
Alright, I want to try um do you think we did like for the first session we did enough that I can go like to see like what I can do with McCree, or you want to like try one more time with Hanzo?
We have another like hour, so I think
Mhm.
honestly we'd be pretty fine like just going to McCree. A
Oh,
lot of this stuff is gonna be like McCree and Hanzo are similar enough, and
mhm.
like on top of that, just a lot of the stuff like positioning and awareness is gonna cross, go to the for everybody, apply to everybody. Ability usage is gonna be a little bit different. All usage is gonna be slightly different. Um, and then mechanics is going to be slightly different, but a lot of it's going
Yeah,
to be similar.
I realize I keep my ult with McCree a lot
Mm.
more.
Yep. Which you're going to
Um,
want to still use it pretty frequently, but we can talk about how you can look to use it.
mhm.
Okay. McCree similar range, right? Make sure you're playing at a mid range. Don't try to run up and roll into the hog, right? That's gonna get you hooked and then killed. But here we're playing a little bit too passive, so you might want to like push towards it a little bit more, right? Get a little bit closer, especially if you see your Reinhardt pinning in like that, right?
I
Since
can
we
I can hear I can hear this. Yeah, I could hear Tracer.
So your flashbang, you gotta just get used to your flashbang range. It is pretty close to you, so you can't do it from too far away. Right clicking, when right clicking is applicable is when you're behind somebody and you can't headshot
Mhm.
them super easily. When you're right up in someone's face and you can't headshot them super easily. If you flashbang and like it's a surprise, like and you like didn't know, like they basically like if somebody walked up behind you and you had to kind of you weren't ready for it. But most of the time you're gonna try to just left click often because that's going to very nice, because that's going to be the most ammo efficient way to go about it. So just try to get into habit of left clicking as often as possible. Oh, keep in mind with your high noon that you have to hold it a little bit longer.
Oh, I thought I can kill what's his name Doomfist
Doomfist.
because he was lower. Like,
Mm.
does it
Are
it
you?
knock down faster, right?
Yeah. Are you? Sorry, words. Are you familiar with watching for the skull yet?
Oh, yeah, when the skull becomes skull, that's when it kills, right?
Yep, exactly. Right. So we just want to make sure we're paying attention to that. I didn't see if the Doomfist was low or not. But yeah, maybe it was.
Should I go? Should I go? Oh fuck! I thought I would get him.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that happened.
So even when you're flashing, look to follow up with left clicks. That's a good thing to get used to because it, like again, it saves ammo, means that you're not having to force to reload, and also it's going to be a lot harder to hit a bunch of right clicks when you're far away. Um, but there are some times where right clicks applicable, but most of the time, probably say like 90% of the time, you're going to be left clicking.
Oh my god.
Right?
Oh, I
Don't
just
use
want.
it when you're under pressure, right? We had a bunch of people like right next to us, so we just have to be careful and aware of that. You want to look to use your high noon when you either have sufficient protection, so
Mhm.
shields or bubbles or something, or tanks in your way, or when it's a surprise, right, and nobody knows where you're at. You can also do it if you're like super far away and nobody could kill you. That's another option, but that's what you want to look for. There, we didn't have any of that, and then we died.
Wow, yeah, I got that again.
Watch out for his hooks, right? Just be aware of Hog and try to dodge it out. He can't hook you if you're standing close enough to cover and you dodge around it. If you dodge behind cover and he hooks you, it'll just cancel the hook.
Oh, okay.
So that's just another positioning one. Just make sure you're utilizing cover. use your roll as you're walking out of spawn. That can give you it's a 6-second cooldown. It's very fast, and it's gonna allow you to get places faster. Very nice shots. Very nice. If there's still something to shoot at, don't feel like you have to reload if you have 5 ammo, right? So if there's a hog right next to you, don't reload.
Uh-oh. Oh my god, that was definitely panic. Uh-oh.
Right?
Oh.
Don't be afraid to back up there a little bit if you feel like you're under pressure, right? You don't need to be contesting point at all. Just look to back up and give yourself some space to work with. Also, like I was saying, just roll out of, I think I got cut off, but roll out of spawn to get back faster if your team's still fighting the fight. Like right now we have 4 people there, right? So we can look to just roll to get there faster.
Oh.
Okay. Put a lot more concentration into our flashbangs as we're missing quite a bit of them,
Yeah.
and we just have to get used to the range because it seems like we're also we're underestimating, or sorry, overestimating the range, and a lot of the times we're trying to go for ones that are way too far away. So it's a very close ability.
Is there anything I can do right now for my team to like I can try to like oh
Very nice. Super good. All right, so yeah, we'll talk about a lot more. We'll talk about target priority, I guess. We'll go over it after this because I want to tie it in with the positioning that comes with it. Then ult usage, I guess will also be something we can go over after.
can I ever use ult to create space?
I'd probably say not often are you going to want to. Most of the time you just go for kills with it. You can use it to create space sometimes, but like if you're trying to get your team to walk through like a choke or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'll go into more into depth of how you can look to use it after this game's done. But yeah, look for protection from your team. Look to get a surprise advantage that comes from taking off angles. But we'll go into depth on off angles after this game's done.
I'm also very bad at the basketball part because I need coaching.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'll show you how.
It's...
Just you gotta lose this round so we can go into it.
No, then it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, ball when you can't hit headshots, that's a very acceptable target to right click on, right? Because when he's in his ball, you can't hit his head. But if it was like another character, you might want to just like go for headshots on him if they're stunned.
Oh, that's gonna kill him. Oh yeah, all right.
Very nice.
I feel like I should have like at least done one headshot.
Yep, you definitely, when people are moving, it's kind of the same thing as like a scoped in sniper. Right? If they're not moving, just go for the free headshots. Right? Somebody's stunned. If someone's stunned, shattered, grabbed, right? Sigma ulted up in the air. Those are all situations where you can just like get free headshots, and if you're just looking to aim up at their heads. Yep, good job requesting healing. Just to get into the habit of doing that slightly faster. Right, that way they know where we're at, and then we get it faster. Oh. Watch her.
People kind of get mad when I like ask for healing.
Honestly, don't read into that. That's stupid if they get mad, because it's an important part of the game, and like if people are getting mad, or like don't spam it like unless they're not looking at you. But as an old support man, it's very helpful to know where people are at, and honestly, they're like if they're getting mad at it, it's just them being silvers and they're not really understanding the use of it.
Uh-oh. I gotta dodge this one. I'm gonna try to like.
Yeah, like that. So when okay, I guess I'll talk about that after the game too. Just talk about when we can right click, when we can left click.
Like,
Oh snap! I swapped over to the Zenyatta on accident and zoned out.
I try to just. Oh fuck! Sorry.
A lot of body shots, right? Just
Yeah.
really need to work on that. Swallows the fact, I guess. Besides that, there wasn't too much of a problem there. Maybe like just right clicking on the diva maybe wasn't necessary, right? When you just left click that super easily. All right, so we'll go over a bunch of stuff here again. If you want to take a look.
Oh yeah. Let me look. Alrighty.
All right. So first off, we're gonna go over target priority. So target priority is basically what's the best thing to shoot at. And in general, that's just not gonna be the tanks, right? Tanks have 2 to 3 times the health of other characters. They have shields. They have defensive abilities, and on top of that, damage and supports just do more statistical output. So DPS do the damage, supports do the healing. Tanks is a very important role and they can carry very easily, but their job is to create space for the other 2 roles. So you want to make sure you're focusing the other 2 roles whenever it's an opportunity. And you also want to look for your own opportunities to get to them, right? So that's not to say that you never shoot at the tanks, right? You shoot at the tanks if they are low, if they are out of position, if they are like the only thing to shoot at, right? There's nothing else. You don't have an option to get to the supports. That's completely fine to shoot at the tanks. But whenever it's an option, like you have equal opportunity, like tank there, support here, right? You want to just make sure you're shooting at the thing that's easier to kill and is going to get you more value. On top of that, we want to look for what you call off angles, right? This allows you to directly bypass the tanks, right? So if the tanks are standing here, right, our team's standing here, right? This is the main angle, shooting down this. If we're shooting on this, we shoot at shields, we shoot at tanks, and that's all we're hitting, and we're going to get a lot less value. But what we could do is come left turn, right? And then now we've gotten a pathway to where we're bypassing the tanks, bypassing the shields, getting directly onto the back line, right? Shoot, 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 and it's very fast and it's very safe, and we can just immediately be back on the main angle, right? We can do the same thing over here, right? They're there, our team's here, right? We can look to back up here real quick, right? Come to the high ground. All of high grounds pretty much act as off angles, right? Because we bypass the tanks, bypass the shields, immediately get up above them, right? And go and can start shooting into the back line, right? So we just want to look for these, as this is going to allow us to very easily get kills onto the good things to shoot at. As a lot of times we just kind of sat on the main angle, right? Now you're not going to want to do that at all if they're on a dive, like we were talking about before. Dive are all the fast characters, right? Team composition dictates your play style, so when they're on something different, you're playing a little bit differently. And if they're on a dive, we're not going to want to split ourselves from our team, because that's going to mean that we can't help them and they can't help us, right? If we get dove or isolating ourselves. Now, we don't want to be going for what you call flanks, right? A flank would be like if we did this and we went all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, right? All the way around, and then we did this, right? This would be a flank. A flank is inherently long and or dangerous, because here we don't really have a way to get away if they chase us, and we can't get back to our team, and basically also just puts us out of side of the fight for a super long time. So typically you're not going to want to go for flanks too often. Off angles are good, flanks usually are bad. There are some characters that get away with that, like Soldier can do that a lot more often, and Tracer can do that a lot more often. McCree, you're not going to want to do that very often. The one time you can go for a flank, and we'll talk about this for about both of these, is when you're high nooning, and only if it's in between fights, right? You don't want to do this in the middle while the fight's happening. You'd want to do this in between the fights. We'd go all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, because this checks off one of the boxes, one of the things that we talked about, where we can go for high noon if it's a surprise advantage, right? If we're doing this from behind them, they can't shoot at us, right? If we're coming at someone front on, right, like they're looking at us, that means that they can very easily stun us. They can very easily shoot at us because it's just like we talked about before. It's very little adjustment, right? But if we're doing it from behind them, they might not hear us. They might not know where the heck we're at. And even if they do, it takes a lot more time to do a quick 360 and locate us and find us and start shooting at us. Which by that point we might already have a bunch of kills off of that, right?
So what if so you're saying that even if we're like middle of a fight, I shouldn't try to like go behind them to like do a high noon?
It's when it's in. It really depends on how long the flank you're trying to go for is. In the middle of a fight, so if it's for a high noon, it's a little bit more acceptable, but you'd still be it'll be a lot more preferable if it's before a fight. Right, that way you're not wasting that much time, but you can sometimes do it in the middle of a fight. It really depends on the situation, because everything in Overwatch is always going to be situational. But the other thing you want to look for is off angles, because again, off angles allow for very good, angles to get high noons off of, right? So our team's there, we can come up to the high ground here and get off high noon from up here, right? This allows, and this is the one time where you can peek multiple people, right? This is, this gets us around the shields, means that they can't block it, and it gets us into a bunch of different people, right? The other time we can use this, like if we have a bunch of teammates in the way and they're protecting us. A lot of times that we used it, we didn't really have either, and that just got us killed. We also use it when like we're really, really far away from people, which means that they can't really kill us too easily, unless, don't do that if they have like snipers though.
Yeah.
Right? Now, other thing we're going to go over is when to right click, when to left click, right? Right clicking just takes a long time, right? From the right click to the reload animation, it takes a whole, I don't know, like 2 seconds, like 1 Mississippi 2, or it's like something like that, right? It just is a lot faster than if we just did this, right? And then we just keep shooting, right? So it's just basically it's wasting a lot of time when you're doing that. And it's a lot less ammo efficient. So basically, when you use each, is especially really one of the only times you're going to be using your right click is when you flash people. But basically, if it's a premeditated flash, like we know this guy's up here, so we're gonna flash him as soon as he turns this corner. Boom, right? Because we can already aim head level. We got the first shot off, which means that the second shot's just very easy to follow up on, and basically we're just prepared for it. If somebody like walked up behind us and we just had to go bang, right, then we might not be prepared for it, and right clicking is a lot more acceptable there. When you're inside of somebody, right, this becomes, or we can test this out here, right, on something like this. When we're inside of somebody, it's a lot harder to hit their headshots like by going up in the air, right? So it might be a lot more acceptable, right? You can also, like, if you're behind somebody, right, it's super hard to hit their head, right? And on the side of people, super hard to hit their head. So from this angle, we might want to right click from the side or from behind as well, right? But if we're in the front, headshots are just going to do a lot more and be a lot more ammo efficient, right? One right click is going to do about half of his health, right? But if we flash him and we get two, I believe you can get 2 left clicks off in a flash, right? That's doing about the exact same amount, but you have more ammo to follow up with it afterwards, right? So you can keep shooting. So it does the exact same, but you're being more time and ammo efficient, right? Killing them a lot faster than if you're trying to right click them. And then besides that, you can right click on balls, because balls you can't hit their heads. And then besides that, right clicks are just, you're not gonna want to use them too often because it's just inaccurate at longer ranges. You can't use it at long ranges, and it doesn't do as much damage. What do you say?
For shield, like to damage the shield.
If you're trying to burst down a shield, yes. So if it basically, like, if you're just trying to whittle it down over time, left click is gonna give you more of a bang for your buck over time. But if you're trying to like get it down like really fast for a specific reason, then right click might be better. Or if you're like, for example, if you're trying to like be a little bit safer, so like for example, like if we're up against a shield and we have a cover, right, we can right click into it, duck behind the cover to reload, right click with it, right, and this way we're not out in the open for so long. If maybe we don't have a, for example, like if we don't have a shield or something to shoot at it, but not very often is that gonna be used. Like I said, it's like right click's gonna happen maybe like 10% of the time or something like that. In comparison to left click, right? And then I think that is it. So you can look to go ahead and get into a queue.
Alrighty.
And then I guess while you're in queue, I can show you how to land the basketball.
Alright. I was gonna like ask something. I didn't have like much sleep last night, so it's sometimes like my thoughts get lost.
Oh, you're good.
Let
Let me know when you get in game.
Oh yeah. I think I'm gonna like not think about my question and like it's gonna come back to me.
All right. So how you hit a basket is you
Mhm.
walk right up next to it. You aim right below the. Actually, sorry. You aim inside the net here, right? You melee.
Oh,
Right.
okay. All
So
right.
basically you just aim inside the melee.
Yeah, I'm gonna surprise my buddy then, because he just laughs at me every time.
Yes, this is what I bought the coaching session for, just so I can learn how to make
Yeah,
basketballs in
that'd be
Overwatch.
like, yeah, he's gonna be like, whoa. It's like- yeah, it's just so I just for the headshots, like when it's like closer range, like so I don't need to do like because I used to like watch
Mhm.
these like YouTube videos that they like really like emphasized on like for in order for you like to like get like better like aim,
Mhm.
especially when your target is moving, you need to flick.
Mhm.
So that's not that's
Flicks. So when flicks are necessary, that's a good one to go over. Are you in a game? Okay, you're in a game.
I'm
No,
in a
you're not.
game.
Are you in a game? It says here in
Nah,
quick playing game.
oh just in a queue still.
Okay. It's for some
All right.
reason it says in game. Okay, so I guess you can watch my stream for a second here. Flicks are only necessary in certain situations. Flicks are necessary when a target is moving fast, right? If a tracer's blinking around you, right? Basically,
Mhm.
a flick, by definition, is anytime your crosshair has to move a large portion of space very fast,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That's a flick.
Wow.
If it that was completely lucky. Oh, never mind. I guess I can do it. Whatever. If a tracer's blinking around us in circles, right, we're not going to be able to track it, and we're not going to be able to slowly line it up with cross replacement, but so we need to be able to flick to it, right?
Mhm.
So when someone's moving fast, when someone just appears on our screen, so if we're shooting down main here, and then all of a sudden someone pops up top right, we're going to need to flick up to that person, right, because they just randomly appeared on our screen, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's another situation when somebody just, runs up behind us and they start shooting at us, we might need to flick and turn around, right, and do that. Or if like we're right inside of somebody, sometimes we can flick to like get up to their head, right?
Mhm.
So like if we're right here, we need to flick up a little bit harder because it
The
requires us
game
to look up.
started, I think.
All right,
The game started, but it's like almost the end, I think, on of the game.
all right, yeah,
Like,
and then most other situations, crosshair placement and just tracking are going to be good. But
mhm.
flicking is going to be something that like is going to be situational, and on top of that, like you can learn how to just learning how to aim is going to come with practice and time and concentrating on it. I think we'll talk about that at some point here.
Do you like change your like video setting to anything like is more optimal? Like I have a good PC, I would say,
You say
but
video settings or NVIDIA
yeah.
settings?
Oh,
Oh, the game
like
just ended.
yeah, the game just ended. I did a lot. Um, so like your video settings, yeah, like your graphic settings. Do
Yeah,
you like
so
change them?
what do you mind like streaming that real quick and see, like, let me just take a look at what you have?
Oh yeah. All right, 1 second. Share my screen. Where's Overwatch? What?
Oh, if you're full screen, they won't show up as an option. You have to unfull screen it, and then you can just full screen again when you're done.
Oh, okay, 1 second.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't show up as an
Oh,
option with full screen.
and the game. The, the game just started though. Oh,
Oh,
one
okay.
second. Let me see. I can still do it. I think real quick.
I mean, you can. Why don't you just leave the game? I think you're getting
All
fast
right.
queues anyways.
All right.
We'll just go over it before you get back in.
All right. So I just leave the game, right?
Yeah,
All right. Alrighty.
it's you don't really get punishments from that unless you do it too often.
Yeah. No. Okay. So share screen or watch. Go live.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go options. Yep, video. So you have like I'll just compare this with mine real quick because I optimized all mine like a while ago.
Mhm.
So just make sure I know it. Okay, so off, on. Yep. Okay, so you're good there. Okay, so graphics quality. Most professional players put that at low. And basically have all of them beside. There's a few ones you can put up higher, like texture quality you can put up higher, render scale you can put up higher, and then you maybe have like shadow detail up a little bit. But besides that, everything else should pretty much be on low because that'll just get you max frame rates, max performance, and mean that you're not getting like random stutters. And then also, it'll just result in less visual clutter. of like extra bushes lying around, extra visual, which it might it really depends on what your priorities are. If you care about the game looking good, then that's fine. And if you're looking for kind of to maximize stuff, then that's you
Hmm.
just put it all at low.
So effects detail is gonna be like low as well.
Yeah, it'd be more like texture quality you can have up, automatic the render scale you can have up, but then everything else pretty much goes low.
Where's the render? Trying to.
The render scale is at the very top. Oh, it's on automatic 150 right now for you.
So it's 50%, which is the lowest.
No, yeah, that one you can keep at whatever you want it at.
Oh, okay. So render is okay.
Yeah,
And
honestly, like I have mine at 100. It looks pretty. Like even putting it down to 75 looks pretty trash.
oh yeah. Okay. So let's see. This light low and high. I don't even know like what this is honestly.
Yeah,
This goes
that's
low
that
too.
stuff just goes off. Or actually, wait, I apparently have anti-alias quality on low, but I don't
Oh, no.
know why.
I mean, even if you're like, even if you have a good PC, but you just don't want extra quality, like, right? You just don't want to like.
Yeah, because like professionals have good PCs, but they usually put it at low just for less. Because when you're playing the game competitively, like really the features of the game aren't really as important, and it's better just not to have the clutter.
Did I fix it? Yeah. So this goes local reflection off.
Yep.
Okay, let's see.
So you look pretty fine. Um.
I'm gonna exit the game and
uh,
get back in. I think it asked me to.
Alrighty. Yep. And then when you get back in, you can probably just look again and queue again.
Alrighty. So and like you said, is my sensitivity too low? You think at
No,
4?
that's you are like a tiny little bit higher than mine. I think honestly, it's just that's very average sensitivity in comparison to like pros usually. So uh, that's pretty average. So, yep.
Okay, full screen and we're good to go.
Like I have mine at 800 by 4.5, and you have yours
4.
by 800 by 4.7.
Yeah, yeah. And like, do you have like multiple sensitivity based on your hero?
No, the only like I did in the past a couple times but it was only ever a tiny little bit that I adjusted it, like by, not even like within like a whole one, it'd be like point
Mm.
something. On and the only characters you want it higher on would be some characters that don't require as much precision. So like tanks don't require a little bit higher. You can have like Brig, character Ana. There's a lot of Ana players who will have it a little bit higher, because she doesn't require headshots, right? Genius hit body shots. Yeah, those are a bunch that can just have higher sensitivities. But anything else, I typically just keep right now. I have literally everything the same.
Yeah, before I like look up online and like to like get better and everything, I thought like pros would like be using like the highest sensitivity because I just thought they're just like really good at reacting and everything.
Yeah, not necessarily. Just because the lower you go, the more precision you have, and
Mhm.
crosshair plate basically crosshair placement makes up for any need to turn around in circles, right? If you know where people are going to be, then you don't need to do fast turns a lot of the times. There are some pros, like there are a couple that have it super high, like I said, tanks like have it higher than, like I looked up the averages sensitivities across all the pros a while ago, and tanks have it a lot higher than the other roles because they don't require as much precision, especially on main tanks, the one big guys with shields like a Reinhardt or a Monkey, right? And then besides that, a lot of other characters in the game who require headshots, like you're trying to hit a tiny little dot, and that's a little bit hard when you're moving at 100 miles an hour with a sensitivity.
Yeah, Ash was really hard to play. Like it's just Ash is like one of Ash is so weird because like in Call of Duty I used to like scope in, scope out, but
Yeah,
apparently you want to like stay scoped in a lot.
yeah,
Is like one of the heroes that I how is the character that shows up on your main screen random?
yeah.
Yeah, because I just talked about
Unless
Ash
it's
and it just came in.
yeah, it's yeah, it's randomized, and some event, for specific events, they'll have screens that will be special. Like sometimes they're like moving animated ones, specifically for like the winter events. They'll have like moving animations, like a snowball fight between the different characters. And then besides that, they'll have some different screens that they'll just stay around for the entire event. But besides that, most of the time it's just random.
If I want to like get good, for example, at Hanzo, is it wise that I like switch back and forth between McCree and Hanzo? Is it
Yeah,
gonna like make
so
my aiming worse or anything?
So Hanzo is pretty similar to Hitscan, like Hitscan being like any character that's instant shot. I'm spectating, by the way.
Yeah.
He's similar enough, and they have pretty similar playstyle. So honestly, I don't think it's too big of a problem. But a lot of the times, you don't want to spread yourself too thin between too many characters. But 2 to 3 is usually a really good range. But you don't want to spread yourself between like 6 different characters, because then that gives you less time to focus on certain things. And practice at them. And then the other thing is that you don't want to go between different roles. So for example, hit scan usually is going to want to stick with hit scan. Projectile or flex DPS, the kind of the other thing, anything else that's not hit scan wants to stick on their own thing most of the time, so that they kind of, because it kind of translates the easiest, right? They have most similar kits, they have similar playstyles, they have same instant shots, right? Whereas projectiles all are different projectile speeds, right?
So
But Hanzo's similar enough to
Hanzo's
McCree.
similar? Okay,
Yeah.
right. Alrighty. Okay. Do you also suggest aim arena for like practicing aim?
How many hours a day did you say you played again?
Aim arena?
Yeah, how many hours a day did you say you played again?
I would say like 5-6 hours at least.
All
Like
right.
every.
Then I would say that you can, if you're looking to just practice on aim, then like 30 minutes of that's fine. You also do like custom modes, but you never want that to overpower just playing comp, just because you want to practice like in an actual competitive environment. But it's definitely good to practice it. Yep.
Where am I getting shot?
And also, I can also give you a guide real quick. I'll link that to you right now while we're while I'm thinking about it.
This guy's like repairing, so I can't really. Oh, okay, alright.
All right, so he just sent you a YouTube video about who's a professional player who's talking about practicing your aim. He talks about, he gives a custom game mode and that he uses practice. He spends like an hour on it a day, but you know he plays 12 hours a day, so that's, you wouldn't need to put that much into it.
Oh. I messed up here.
Yeah, here we probably should be on like the high ground, so you don't want to be on point too much, just because you don't necessarily have to rotate in the middle of the fight, right? But you just want to make sure they're in between fights. You're always retaking the high ground, because being on the low ground is not going to be the best.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Okay, here we look to high noon. Yep, perfect.
I just waited for his thing.
Deflect. Yep, very nice.
Oh. Ah! Oh no! Oh my god!
Don't keep.
Right.
Okay, there we maybe would have. Maybe there we could have backed up potentially. Just don't look to re-peek it when you're 5 HP, right? Pay attention to your health bar. That's another thing about awareness, right? Is paying attention to your environment, right? So, hot awareness. Just make sure you're paying attention to your health bar.
So how would you go back from there? Would you just like
use
walk back or?
Yeah, walk backwards while keeping her on the other side of the pillar, right? And using that as cover. Very nice shots.
Oh.
Request healing when you're low, right? Pay attention to your health bar. Every time you take damage, you want to just pay attention to it.
Oh, gotta.
Look to go chase him, right? You've won the fight, right? So it's just you versus him. He's low HP, so we can just get super aggressive on him.
Oh.
Even now, we can still go on him. He's still 1 HP over there, right? Alright, when the fight was done, that was a very good opportunity to look to go and stagger the Torbjorn, but we kind of let him get away there, right?
I,
Very nice shots.
this when they're small, it's really tough sometimes. You know, like.
Yep. All right.
I'm on.
Slow
Alrighty.
motion, I'm good though.
What do you say?
If it was slow motion, I would be okay.
Yep.
So-
Alright, so as a quick strengths and weaknesses of kind of what I'm looking at so far, ability usage isn't getting too important on the characters you're on. I think that they need to get a little bit consistent, but I don't think they were too terrible. Ultimate usage, I do think needs a little bit of work, a little bit more than our ability usage. Then our mechanics, I think, is about in the middle. I think that's a good one to really practice on and focus on. But I don't think it's the worst thing. And then I think the two that need the most work are our awareness and our positioning. And then that's going to affect our ability to shoot at things, to not die, and to continue to stay alive and do things effectively.
when it comes to practice, is it better to do quick play or
Definitely competitive is
competitive?
Yep, competitive is definitely going to be better because when you're not being challenged, you're not going to be improving very fast.
That's true.
When things are a little bit easier, they're not going to be as challenging and therefore as good to practice off of.
Easy.
Very nice. Watch your spam jumping, so just I'll talk about it in a second.
Oh,
Right. Watch just pressing and holding down the jump button because that can make you easier to shoot as you lose control over your mobility, and when you go up you have to come down, so it's predictable and trackable.
Yeah.
So hit scan characters especially can look to punish that, so especially the higher and higher you go, the more people will be looking at that, and you just make sure you're not holding down
Yeah,
jump. It's not that one's not going to get you up a whole rank, but it is just a bad habit to get out of the way. Okay. Very nice. All right, so here we could look for High Noon from like right side or from top main here, or we could use the Ryan shield. Or if you just want to probably look for something with it.
that's. I thought I had him actually. That one was bad.
Probably don't do the slow peek there because that just everyone's gonna hear you ult and then know where you're at and then know where you're. Basically, it's gonna you're gonna have less time to acquire the target. Okay, don't focus too much on the mines. Just it'd be better to just move away from them, right, than spend too much time trying to shoot them down.
Oh.
We're spending a lot of time shooting at just the ball, and we're out of range a lot of times. So look to go for some more flanky angles and get a lot closer because we're a mid-range character on McCree, and unlike Hanzo, you have what you call fall off.
Oh.
I need a doctor.
Request healing when you're low, right?
I need a doctor.
This guy. Oh, I forgot. I didn't even see it. Wow,
Yep.
that
So
was-
awareness.
yeah, that was the awareness for sure.
Right. Make sure we're keeping in mid-range because we're poking a lot this game from a far range, and unlike Hanzo, McCree just can't play at a far range very well because he has what you call fall off. So the further away he is, the less and less damage he does, and we want to be doing our max damage, not tiny little bit of damage.
How come he didn't? Oh wow, I thought he was gonna die there. Oh, he ulted. That makes sense. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna be talking since we've actually gone over a lot of different stuff so far. Right, I'm gonna start talking a lot more frequently, like giving you advice on, like giving you reminders, advice on where to be standing. That way you can kind of see in game when should you be doing what, and where should we be at. All right.
Have faith you can get your patch back up, Doc.
It's not my preference to see matters personally. but I will see them done.
The way you shot that dummy that there is like this. What? I can't even do it.
Trying to shoot into a
Alright.
couch there.
Oh my god, this is there you go. Alright. I couldn't even shoot it normally.
Alright. So yep, just going main here with our teams if we could. You know, focus too much on the ball unless he's coming it to you. Don't want to spend too much time chasing him unless he's low or coming to you. Nice shots. Very nice, right? We can get aggressive now because we're up people. Right, just look to push and get the stagger kills. Yep. Here we're fine, right? But whenever we're like 9 or ult, we're paying attention to it and we're thinking of how we're using it, right? So when we're using it, we're probably going to look to just back up a little bit, right? Like let them walk in and maybe go to the high ground, right? Just get real far away from their comp, and then really the only people who'd be able to shoot at you are like the Torb and the Zenyatta. We can also use like the Reinhardt shield if we wanted to. Here we should probably be on like the high ground above us.
High ground.
Right.
Here?
Yep.
Oh, I thought. Oh.
The Mercy is Valking.
Oh, excuse me. Hold up now.
Oh, that's a man. This is.
Yep, gotta get used to the red versus blue.
Oh.
Alright, so they're kind of frontal angle, right? No shield, no protection, right? So it wasn't a surprise, and it wasn't behind any. And we didn't have any protection for us, so that you can just see how that kind of results in us dying from it.
Yeah.
I'm capturing the objective. Enemy turret within my sight.
So the other thing to pay attention to is just like, is anybody looking in my general direction, right? Where is the enemy team looking at? You're up a bunch, so we can look to get aggressive. Very nice.
Thanks. Put it on my tab.
Oh.
Okay, good job taking the high ground. That was nice.
Oh, wow, that was a clear shot. I don't know how I missed that.
Alrighty. Looking a lot more solid in that game.
Woo. See, I can land my flashbang too.
Yep.
Just right now.
Alright, so you can probably look to just go ahead and get into another game.
Alright, let's
Do 1 or 2 more. And alright, I don't know what we have. We'll do a wrap up for the last like 10 minutes of the
Alright.
game. Or maybe like, because I guess maybe we'll do like 12 minutes. So it was a long one, and then I want to schedule the next session too.
Alrighty.
So yeah, we'll do the last like 12 minutes in as a kind of review and wrap up and main points, and then that means we have like 20 or like whatever 15 minutes ish to do some more.
Okay, so do we have like time for one more quick play right now?
Yep, 100%.
Alright.
And then we can always, if we need to get to one, we can always just leave the game as well. Right.
Alrighty.
So something I want to talk about is how the heck are you gonna like practice all this stuff, right? Because the kind of the application process, and some of the concepts seem a little bit vague. Like I know, especially like awareness seems like the hardest concept to kind of just like apply and
Yeah.
just put into practice. And you look to practice stuff like that and anything else, the same way that you'd like look to focus on anything you're trying to do, and that is
Mhm.
focus on it while you're playing. Don't autopilot. Don't just think about winning, right? That's the easiest way to not improve and to go nowhere, is to just
Mhm.
autopilot while you're playing. Instead, really, really focus in on what you're trying to improve on, right? So what your
Mhm.
brain should look like while you're playing is we focus in on a particular area. And we go, let's say, for example, awareness, and we go, our brain looks like this, where we go awareness, 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 right?
Yeah, yeah.
And when we start to when our brain looks like that, right, and we're putting a lot of focus and effort and energy into it, then that means that our awareness is going to be a little bit higher because we're constantly reminding ourselves to look around us, and therefore we're paying attention more. And when we do that for a long enough time, that forms as a habit. And when that forms as a habit, then now we don't need to put as much attention and effort into it, and we can look to put that into a different area, right?
Mhm.
Now you're not going to want to do everything all at once because there's a 2-hour session and we talked about like 30 different things, right?
Yep.
That's going to get really overwhelming and you're not really going to be able to focus on and improve on anything. Instead,
Mhm.
look at like one category or like kind of 3 smaller things. Just don't do everything at once, and make sure focusing on what you're trying to improve on, not just kind of mindlessly playing.
Yeah, this I really want to like focus on the pre-aiming, that like
Yep.
you like aim for the head. What was it called again?
Crosshair
It had,
placement.
oh yeah,
Yep.
crosshair placement. Yeah, and and then taking the high ground.
Yep.
I think
Definitely big
that's,
ones.
yeah, those ones are like, and also like with McCree, I should find like when is it actually like in the middle of a fight? When is it like better to like use my ult?
Yep.
And and so just to make sure. So you said like if it's in the middle of a fight, I want to like preferably like be in the flank, but in general, I just want to like do it when there is not a fight yet, and I kind of like have a flank on them or something.
Yeah, so when it comes to flanking, you want to do it preferably in between fights when the fight
Mhm.
hasn't started yet, because
Yeah,
if it especially if it's a like if especially if it's a long flank, right?
yeah.
Dangerous flanks. If it's a sometimes flanks can be slightly shorter. They're just really dangerous, and
Hmm.
um, those you're not really gonna want to go for at all.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Usually the super dangerous ones, like not really ones that you want to go for too often. All right. I'm locked onto Tracer. Why can I not? All right. Oh, never mind. Now I can go to just Mercy and Tracer. I'm gonna rejoin the game. Just a bug that happens sometimes. So.
Wow. Do you play any other games yourself?
I play some other games with like friends, but to be honest, not many. This is like kind of my main game. Okay, I can see you now. But any other games I play with friends are like kind of like party games type
Mhm.
stuff.
Oh, oh.
Duck into spawn real quick just to get your health back, right? Just that way you're not sitting at 113. That's another just awareness thing to keep your eye on, because we seem to do that a lot. Look to get a little bit closer, because right from this far away, we're not really doing that much damage because of our fall off. Okay, there we gotta pay attention. McCree, or the soldier, was kind of like standing in our spawn there, and we kind of didn't see him there when he was shooting at our team, and probably could have shot at him pretty easily.
I think I
Request.
made a mistake going lower ground
No,
there.
you don't have an option to go high ground immediately out of spawn. But I don't think you should have set on high ground. That would have been too far away. Here we can look to like kind of rotate top right if you wanted to, or the very nice shots. Alright, go up to high ground, take that from them. We also have on high noon, so we can look for high noon next fight. Like if we wanted to start rotating right now, we could go all the way up top behind them. So go right side real quick.
Right
Right side.
side.
Yep. Right room. You want to be sneaky. Yep, in there, in there. And then when you're trying to be real sneaky, you might want to crouch a little bit, right? That way
Oh,
they
okay.
way they can't hear you too well.
Oh, they
Oh,
just saw me.
yep. You have a mercy with you, so you could potentially duel them.
Okay.
Oh, just be careful because they have 3 people now. Okay. Push him fast while you have the like a kind of advantage on him. You can honestly like roll into him like a flashbang, right? And just like flashbang right click him, right? Exactly.
Don't move.
You just don't want to, uh, make the fight take too long, because then Soldier just ends up shooting your team while you're doing nothing. Right, there they got some bad spawns, right? So they don't have their whole team with them yet, because some of them got the other spawn, some of them got this spawn. So that's where we can look to just push forward a little bit and try to get those kills.
Oh, he has a. He just ulted.
Very nice.
Much obliged.
Probably look to take high ground rather than walk forwards. Alright, so like the right stairway. And the other good thing about high ground is high ground's good for them, and when we take high ground, it takes it away from them.
That-
But keep in mind, they can also do the exact same thing to you.
Thought I saw a ghost.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
You best head for the hills. I'm on fire.
And dude, you're the body shot master.
Yes, I don't miss body shots, man.
Alright.
Only if hitting it in the heart do more damage, man.
So
Yeah, I'm
here we could maybe go for like, you see the high ground above that where they're gonna be, right? So
Is it like here?
nope, not the one on the right, one the one on the left, right? So
Okay, this one.
nope.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. You don't know the map yet, so you'd have to go
No,
into the right. You have to go into the right room, and then you'd have to go all the way around. But we don't. It's too late now.
Okay, yeah. Do I just like back off here? So what is it? Oh, I see now. I just saw it right now.
Yeah. So like where your Roadhog's sitting right now is where I was telling you to go.
This where? This here?
No, this doesn't take you there.
Oh my god. It's like
It's fine. You'll get used to the maps.
Much obliged.
Surrender to my will.
It's somewhere it was kind of the flank that I was telling you to go on, but it was only an in between fights thing.
I don't want to jinx it, but I haven't died yet. Oh!
Alright, so
Almost
so
jinxed
here
it,
we can
yeah.
like, since we won the fight, we can go top right, like right side right.
Top
Right.
top
Yep. Let's see the stairs. Right. That way we can get up to high ground and we can get up on high noon from there. Right. With a lot of visibility to see everything. Make sure you're rolling to get there faster.
Oh,
Fortunately, they beat it.
almost, yeah. I wanted
Alright,
to
very
get a
nice.
headshot back with it, yeah.
It doesn't seem like we're utilizing a roll too often. Make sure you're using roll to get move. You have kind of three different reasons why you'd use roll. First,
Yeah.
to move somewhere faster as mobility.
Mhm.
Second, to dodge out shots. So again, it's kind of mobility, but to as a dodging. And then thirdly, to reload faster, right? To just because you basically can instant reload out of a roll, instead of having to go through the whole animation. So that's the three situations, and I think we have it down as a dodger, but I don't think we usually use it to reload instantly or to use it for mobility yet. Those are the two that I don't think we're using it too often for.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right,
Yeah.
so you can just look to go ahead and get into another game. We'll
Alrighty.
go and do that for like 9 more minutes.
Alrighty. Gonna stick with Hans. Oh, sorry, stick with McCree on this one, and I'm gonna practice these two. So maybe, hopefully, the next time, in our next session, you're gonna be like, "Wow, you're Grandmaster." That'd be cool, though, right? It's just,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I've never seen a 3-day silver to grandmaster.
Yeah, it's just like this guy is a talent. What if I like was pranking you, basically, just
Oh,
right now? Like
good.
getting this coaching, and then that'd be a good YouTube content, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had it happen to me before.
And that's actually pretty. Yeah, you know, like to like kind of get a coaching, and then like be really bad, and then the next session be like, I implemented these stuff, and just like carry everything. That's a sick one. Yeah, you
Yep.
should do that. Like you make YouTube videos, right?
I usually do them of the coaching sessions I do.
Yeah, so maybe like you can make a prank that like you get coaching from someone that you know and everything, maybe a voice changer, and then like play like a noob, and then just like next time just go ham.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So, what is
I
your favorite characters?
Favorite characters? I rotated around a lot. When it comes to that, I used to play support. I played support for like 2 years, and then I played DPS for like a year and a half, and then now I don't. Honestly, I still don't think. Still think that DPS is my favorite characters, though I do play tank a lot now because I
Mhm.
play mainly with friends, and I just flex, and that's what ends up being like most of the time when you flex, you just get tank. Also, my all my DPS are like or too high.
Mhm. Oh,
They're
I
just
see. I see.
all on all my accounts. They're just like all too high, and I keep like when I play with friends, and I just keep accidentally getting the masters, just because I keep winning so much.
Yeah, that's yeah. That they don't want that, right?
Yeah.
They don't want that.
Alright, I'm
Alrighty.
spectating now.
Now
Widow is one of those ones that I like want to get good at, but then like I'm really bad at positioning, and this is
Yep.
like Widow is all positioning, right?
Basically, she's just like positioning and pew pew shoot. Right, that's
Yeah,
just basically it. She
yeah.
doesn't require as much awareness as other characters because she's
Mhm.
not in the fight as much, and she also doesn't require as much ability usage because she doesn't have very many abilities, and she doesn't require as much ultimate usage because her ult's pretty simple and doesn't
Yeah,
you can use it whenever. So those are you
yeah.
can there's a lot less to focus on.
I see in a lot of like league games, like they get picked. Widow gets picked a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like not nowadays. Like that, it got nerfed,
Oh,
right? I don't know.
yeah, so she was pretty OP for a while. She did get nerfed like pretty recently. So she's I think played a little bit less
Hmm.
than you like than in the past. But I definitely don't think that she's terrible right now. I think she's pretty decent.
attack commencing. Capture objective A.
All right, if this one goes on for a while, then we will end up leaving. But
Alrighty.
hopefully you'll roll it. Oh, very nice shots. Just hit one headshot in there and you killed him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Best body shots like North
All right, so
America.
here once our team pushes past the choke, we can look to just go in like left side or something like that. Here,
Oh,
instead of
that's
sitting so far back, look to get up like right next to the choke walls, right, and just be a little bit closer so you can be again. You're not getting fall off and the shots are easier. Where's the TP going to?
that's the the TP is right here. Yeah,
Yep.
where the TP goes to? Yeah, next to me.
So team compositions, right? She's probably going to do this a couple times this game, so make sure keeping your eyes and ears
Mhm.
open. Be aware. Another part of awareness is paying attention to team
Back in the
comps. Team
saddle
comps
again.
dictate play style. When they're on
Mhm.
different things, you have to pay attention to different things, right? They're on a Symmetra, right? You got to pay attention. They're doing what you call turret bomb, which is what she just did.
Turf bomb.
Yep, she TP'd their turrets behind you.
Oh, for some reason I thought that's there is one of those. Oh oh. Oh, I probably need healing here. Oh yeah,
Now you
healing
definitely need
definitely.
healing.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. This is
You also grab the health pack. Probably take like high grounds here if you wanted, or since you got a pick, you also just push the choke.
okay. Oh wow.
Remember, you use roll to get there faster.
Hold up.
What? Wow. Come back. Oh. Can I jump in there? No. I'm really in bad spot right
Yep. So at
now.
the moment the fight's lost, right? So we can either try to stay alive, which probably gonna get us killed, right? Because they're probably just gonna come and find us.
Just kill myself. Maybe get someone with me. I don't know. Yeah, that was bad.
Yep. So that top right high ground is probably not going to be where we want to go. When I was talking
Yeah.
about just the one above choke when I was saying it,
Mhm.
going all the way around there is just a little bit too long, and it's also pretty far away from them, right? So that means that we're going to be, putting ourselves out of our range. Preferably, we can just like walk through the left, what you call hotel, the left room there where Symmetra's
Mhm.
at, and just like walk up to someone and flash him and get a kill off of that.
Like here?
Nope.
Oh,
Once
no,
you get
like.
past the choke.
Okay, 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 okay.
Which is the thing. I don't know if. Sorry, I might be saying a term without you understanding. You know what a choke point is?
Yeah, choke point means like there's a look right here because it's like so narrow and
Yep.
then
It's like
it's
a
only
funnel.
way up. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, when your tanks are pushing through, make sure you're pushing through with them. Right here, we're kind of waiting, and then that means that when we push through, we don't have a shield and we don't have tanks. So like right now, we could be like going left side and just like kind of go and get something through that room. Watch your health. Right, make sure you don't re-engage when you're low. Look to back out. Right, there we stay too long when we're half HP. And don't
Yeah.
try to stay there when you're half. Also, when
But
you're good.
I was worried about like getting out here. Like that's like actually like what like gets me killed because like I get scared that like if I move out they're gonna shoot me down. So I like
Which you
stay in the
can
room.
in that case you can like roll out, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. That way you do it faster and it's hard to hit you.
Can I ult here? No.
No, right now you're down a bunch of people, right? If we're watching top right kill feed, right? This is a lost fight, so you want to just regroup. If you wanted, you could like, now you could like go like right side and you go like the high ground, right? And then that would be like a good spot to like ult from, right? Where I told you before was bad.
I'm like really low right now.
What?
And Anna got really mad at me. She's like, I'm trying to heal someone who's like doing something. So I was like, okay. Oh.
Yeah, that'll go away once you reach like plat or diamond, I think.
Take the objective or it's all over.
So is it? Oh shit! It's still like
It's so
okay. Ult here is good, right?
as long as the Symmetra
Oh
doesn't
oh
kill you.
oh oh oh.
Request healing right when you're low.
I need a doctor.
Oh,
If you feel like you would just need an emergency evac, don't be afraid to roll. Right? Remember, roll can just get you out real fast. You can use it to dodge damage.
I'm gonna like practice my headshots way more
Yep,
Back into the
because
gonna get your kills a lot faster. When you get kills faster, it means it means that they have less time to get heals, less time to get away from you. That's a very good situation, High Noon. Good job with that. We just did hold onto it for a while, though, right? That's the only thing with it.
oh, I don't know why
All right.
what?
All right, so you capped, but why don't you just go ahead and leave this game since
Alright.
we're going to go over the review and wrap up here.
Alrighty.
All right, so I am streaming if you want to take a look. So
Yeah.
we're going to do a quick review over everything we talked about. What are the main points that you should be looking to work on? And then from there, we'll just wrap up the session and kind of schedule the next one. All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
So first we start off on Hanzo, so we'll go over that first, and then we'll go over McCree second. But a lot of the same things are going to be a lot of similar stuff between the two.
Yeah.
All right. Abilities first off, Sonic, make sure we're using it often, and we're just placing it where we know it's going to get the most value, right? Not going to get very much value for just plopping it on the floor here, but it's going to get a ton of value for putting it right here, because then this gets top right high ground, the stairway, anybody over down there, right? So we can do this, and it covers a lot of space, right? So always try to cover as much space as you can with it, right?
Yeah.
Sonic, you can, or not Sonic, Storm Arrow, right? You can look to follow up with shots. Like if I hit a body shot, right, I can follow this up immediately with a Storm Arrow, so that I can finish the kill without having to charge up another shot, right? You can look to use it to melt down tanks, to melt down shields, melt down a Bob, right? Just want to make sure we're using it often as well. We're not holding on to it, never using it, right? Besides that, not too much to do with leap. With our wall climb, if we're looking we have to look kind of parallel to the wall. If we're looking sideways here, it'll cancel it,
Mhm.
So we want to make sure we're looking straight up here so we kind of get the max height with it and can go. When we're looking for it, just look up and pay attention to like where are we trying to climb to, right? If we're
Yep.
trying to climb and there's a wall above us, we're not going to go anywhere. And so we just want to make sure we're paying attention to can we make it all the way to the top by looking up, right? Besides that, ultimate usage, honestly, we have pretty good placement with it. Look to throw out a Sonic before we throw it. That way we can see where people are through walls, right?
Mhm.
Look to throw it slightly behind them, right? Besides that, I think we have good placement with it. Just working on the timing with the ultimates is the big one. Make sure that with our ults that we're not holding on to them, that we're using them
Yeah.
frequently so that they get
Yeah.
the most value. We can get more out in total. Make sure we're using them early in fights where they're going to get the most value. And then besides that, just
What? Sorry,
yep,
one second. Mama,
yep.
Josh, Josh. Yeah. Sorry for that.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, and then on ults as well, right? Make sure we're not using them when we've won or lost fights. And then that is it for ults. Moving on to mechanics. Mechanics is I'd probably say those two ults and abilities are just kind of like in the medium, or sorry, not on the lower end of the things to work on. In the medium end of things is or actually probably on the higher end of things I'd probably say is
Mhm.
mechanics. Right? Make sure that we're respecting crosshair placement, right? Making sure we're aiming head level as well as knowing where people are going to be and aiming there so that we hit shots easily.
Mhm.
Further away shots are, look to put your arm down on the table or your wrist down on the table so we can hit more precise shots. Lift it
Mhm.
up if we're just walking around normally. Make sure that you're fully charging your shots, not half charging them. Make sure when you're really, really far away from people, make sure you are aiming up a tiny. It's just a tiny little bit, right? So if we're
Yeah.
aiming here, doesn't get their bodies. If we're aiming up here, just right above their heads, we're
Yeah.
hitting their heads. All right. Um, it's not gonna be too much. It's just a tiny little bit above their heads.
Yeah,
Now,
regarding the
nope.
wrist placement, I noticed is I always have my wrist on the table.
Nope. Well, then you
Uh,
should probably be lifting it up off the table
mhm.
to have more. Because I also kind of noticed that like when you make turns, it seems like you struggle to make turns. Like
Mhm.
turning it is like it takes like a lot of effort. And
Mhm.
when you're have your wrist constantly on the table, that's gonna happen. What you want to
Mhm.
do is probably like if you're using a lower sensitivity, you want to be arm aiming. So you can try lifting your wrist off the table and using your entire arm to move around. That's how I use mine, and I have a pretty
Mhm.
much the same sensitivity as you. And that's gonna be how you can when somebody's like when people are next to you or medium distance from you, or you're just regular walking around, this is gonna allow you to react faster and look around
Mhm.
more, right? If we're trying to, you on awareness, right? You don't want to just kind of keep walking forwards. You want to look around you, and to look around you, you need to be able to do 360s. When you're moving into it, like we're coming up to the high ground here, we might want to like do a quick left or right turn to like see is anybody up here, right?
Yep.
Which you're not gonna be able to do if we're using a wrist aiming. If I'm keeping my wrist on the table and I try to do that, it's gonna look like it's a lot slower, it's a lot harder. So just look to kind of get that down. Um, Now on top of that, look to just practice your mechanics. And then what else was there for mechanics? Can't recall anything. I sent you the video you can take a look at
Yep.
where he talks about it. And then moving on to the I guess we'll go on awareness next. Oh, actually, sorry. On the mechanics end, one other thing is the target priority, right? Make sure we're shooting at the right things, right? Supports and DPS, not tanks. And
Mhm.
then since we're on that topic, we'll move into the positioning as that fits well into it. So with our positioning, make sure that we're going for off angles, right? We're not just sitting on the main angle all the time, but we're shooting on off angles so we can kill them easily. Make sure that we're respecting. This is a big one, right? It's making sure we're respecting cover usage. We're not standing
Mhm.
out in the open, but we're standing next to things so that we're staying alive a lot longer. Right? Take high grounds. All high grounds are fantastic for you, and it's fantastic for the enemy team too. So you want to take it from them. So look to take that as often as possible. Right? It's good off angles as well. And then from there, that's make sure you're not like you're looking on both McCree and Hanzo. You're looking to stick at a medium distance, right? Not too close, not too far. Same distance for both of them, and you're looking to get within that distance whenever possible. Um, and then besides that, that is pretty much it on positioning. So onto awareness. Make sure that
Mhm.
we are. Oh, sorry for the positioning. One other thing is just make sure you're not flanking too often. But if we are, it's in between fights, right? That's when we're trying to do it.
Mhm.
And then that's really only would you'd be doing a flank if you're on like McCree looking for high noon. Hanzo, you really never have a use for it, but he would be doing both of them would be doing off angles quite frequently, right?
Okay.
Um, Now on to awareness, right? There's a lot of different types of awareness, so let's go through a couple real quick. You have HUD awareness. Big one on our HUD awareness is just make sure we're paying attention to our health bar. Besides that, there's not much else. Maybe just paying attention to the fact that you have your ultimate, right? And then that's it. Paying attention to kill feed, right? There's a couple times where we had to talk about that, so that one's just one that we had to pay attention to, right? 1 to 2 people is an advantage or a disadvantage. 2 to 3 people is a win or a loss. No ultimate if you won or lost, and look to get aggressive when you're winning and play passive when you're losing, and look to get out if you've lost. And if you don't think you can get out, let them kill you, right? More
Okay.
awareness, right? That need work on it. You have visual awareness of like where are enemies and teammates at, right? So like if where
It's also
go-
hard for me to notice that if like sometimes like I have to like really listen to like figure out if the where the voice is coming from, where the sound
Nope.
is coming from. Is that like something that comes with practice or just like my head? Because I got like new headphones like that supposed to do that for you.
yeah,
But like I don't.
you can
Yeah.
practice. I think that you might get, I don't know, like using like surround sound settings. I use surround sound. I don't know if that like helps too much or not. I
So.
just it sounds, I've had it for so long it sounds weird if I don't have it on, so that might help.
Mhm.
But besides that, go ahead.
Surround sound. Is it in options or is it like?
Yeah, it'd be I'm pretty sure in headphones options, but I also think that there might be an in-game option. Dolby Atmos for headphones
Hmm.
is an option here in sound settings, so you can
Yeah.
maybe try that, turning that on. Besides that, you can turn your volume up if you feel like you're missing sounds, and then also just make sure you're paying attention to them and listening for footsteps, for shooting, for like you can see bullet trails pass by you, right? You just make sure you're paying attention to ultimates and ability usage, right? Um, so make sure you're paying attention to where
Oh,
people are on the map, and then paying attention to also team compositions, right? And paying attention to what team comp they're on, because team comp dictates play style, right? Your team and the enemy team. You say that one?
so
Go ahead.
is Dolby an application I need to download?
I'm not aware, honestly. I don't have it, and I have the option on, but I'm pretty sure like in your head, like what brand of headphones do you have?
Oh, it's a Steel Series. Like it's I can find out like the
Right?
model
Do
for
you have
you.
like do you have software that you have to download for that?
Uh, honestly, I have no idea. Like
All
I'm
right.
such a noob in that term,
Yeah,
but.
you can look up Steel, like the brand, right, and
Hmm.
go and see if they edit. Use like for example, I have Corsair headphones, and I can edit like the lighting on it, and I can edit on like with my mouse. I have software, and I can edit like the sensitivity and the DPI, right, and I can edit the lighting again on that, and I can mess with buttons and stuff like that. And that would come from the software, and that would be somewhere I believe you can turn on or off. Surround sound, like on my headphones, I have the option for surround sound that I can turn on or off.
Okay. Okay, that sounds
Yep.
good.
So then what are the main points? I probably say, oh, and then McCree, things on McCree. So McCree, pretty much all the same things. Flashbang, make sure paying attention, and we're looking to use it when we're a little bit closer to people because we're overestimating it sometimes. Roll, look to use it for mobility as well as dodging, as well as looking to instantly reload. Besides that, right click, don't do it so frequently. You're using it when it's a surprise, when you're
Hmm.
behind them or to the side of them, or when you're like right up, right? But when you're able to, just left click as often as possible. High noons, look to off angle with it. You could flank with it, but you're either looking for a surprise advantage, protection
Hmm.
to stay alive through it, or when you're too far away from them to actually be able to kill you through it, right?
Okay.
So what are the main points? I'd probably say number one, I'm going to put at trying to think here. Let's put number one at positioning, because a lot of your mechanics is just gonna come from practicing and just playing and getting more consistent with it, because you've only been playing for like a week and a half, right? Positioning is something that you have to take a more active role in looking to improve. But then at the same time, mechanics is a big issue, so I'm probably gonna put mechanics in number two. I'm gonna put
Hmm.
awareness at number three. And then ultimate usage at number four, and then ability usage at number five. Specifically, ultimate usage with McCree. I probably
Yeah.
say that those are different. On Hanzo, ability usage is more important. On McCree, ultimate usage is more important. So that would be how that order would go, and then for everything else, the other three are the same for both of them. All right. Yep. Any questions about anything we've gone over?
Oh, look, that's just a lot of practice. I just have to go over it.
Yeah. So
Thank you, man.
then why don't we? I'm gonna end the recording here.